If you're about to install Docker on Proxmox, there's a right and less right way of doing it. Generally, the reliable path is a small VM that you can back up, roll back, and for the most part, forget about. In the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly why that's the right move, which OS to pick, and the exact commands to run so that you have a reliable Docker host that requires minimal maintenance. Before we get into the install, let's talk about Docker in a VM versus an LXC. Running Docker in an LXC looks appealing because it's lighter than a full VM from a resource perspective. The catch is that an LXC shares the Proxmox host kernel. That kernel sharing is the problem. Docker won't run in a default LXC. You have to enable nesting and loosen restrictions to make it work, which isn't really ideal. On the other hand, a VM gives Docker its own OS and kernel, so it behaves exactly how you'd expect. Now, to be clear, it does use more resources, and on very low power devices like a mini PC, you might benefit from using an LXC to save some of those minimal resources. I even did a video on that exact topic that shows how you can do it. But removing hardware limitations, the benefits that a VM provides are big. Proxmox stays the hypervisor, and the guest runs Docker, and that is the recommended approach. You also get all the benefits that we discussed earlier, which is better isolation, cleaner backups and restores, simpler networking, and fewer potential problems. To be fair, these are all problems that you may or may not run into with an LXC, but again, it's generally the better and recommended path. Now, to get ahead of this is not to say that you cannot use an LXC. You certainly can. But from a recommendation perspective, a VM is the way to go, and that's how we'll be setting it up in this video. So in order to set this up, the first thing that you have to do is download the ISO of whatever operating system that you'd like to use. I am going to be using Ubuntu Server because I find it to be the easiest for beginners. Debian is a great option as well, and there are a lot of people that would prefer that. The setup process is going to be the same. The only difference is going to be the actual operating system differences from a setup perspective. So download the ISO image and upload it to either Proxmox or your NAS if it is configured that way. So I did that, and we're at the step now where we are going to create the VM. So I'm going to give this the VM ID 225 and the name VM Docker. We're going to head over to the OS, and I'm going to select Ubuntu 24.04, which is the server version. We can head over to System, and for the most part, all of these settings can stay as default. I'm going to select a different storage, and I'm going to give this more disk space. Select your CPU, select your memory. Your networking can stay as default, but it really depends on how your Proxmox hypervisor is configured. For me, this is good. And then with all of these settings, you can now finish and start the VM. So we are now going to run through the installation. So I'm going to install Ubuntu Server. I can update the new installer. Going to proceed. I'm going to select minimize because I don't really need anything other than the base setup. This is our network setup. That's fine. Proxy address I don't need. This is going to test the mirror. Everything here looks good. I'm going to use the entire disk. Now this is the entire disk that we allocated inside of Proxmox for this VM. This will confirm that setup. We're going to click done. And then this is just saying that this specific disk will be formatted and all the data will be lost. This is a virtual machine, so we are going to continue. And now you can just set up your profile however you'd like, and then you can go in, select done. You can enable Ubuntu Pro if you'd like. I'm not going to do that. And then I'd recommend installing OpenSSH server. You're probably going to SSH into this to manage this device, so you might as well set it up now if you can. I'm not going to install any of these services, and then it's going to run through and install the operating system. After the operating system is installed, you can reboot the system. And with it rebooted and me logged back in, I just wanted to check which IP address it was using, and this right here is the IP it's using. I'm going to set up a DHCP reservation later. I'm not going to do it right now, but I wanted to get this because I want to SSH into this device because I find it to be easier to copy and paste commands that way. So I'm going to SSH with my username at the IP address, type in my password, and then we are SSH'd into this device. So the first thing that we are going to do is run an apt update and an apt upgrade to fully update the system. So with the system upgraded, we are going to run through a bunch of commands. I have an article on this that I will leave in the description, so that you can just copy and paste these commands in the exact way that I'm going to. But we are going to go one by one and basically run every single one of these updates. So these 5 commands right here at the bottom, all of these plus this one, were all run as soon as I updated the system. That was the first step I did. Then I ran all 5 of those other commands. With those commands run, we can then update the system. And this final command here is going to be what we're going to use to install Docker. So this will, in essence, install the full Docker suite that we need to manage and run all of our Docker containers. It will ask if you want to continue. We will. And after it's installed, I like to create a directory for all of my Docker containers. This is what I will use to store all of the important configuration files for those Docker containers, and in essence, ensure that all of them stay portable so that I can move them to a different device if I ever had to. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to install Portainer. And I like to do it this way because Portainer is managed by a team. It is a reliable way of managing all of your Docker containers. I just did a video on why I switched back from Dockage to Portainer, and one of the reasons was for the management purposes. So inside of here, I'm going to create a directory named Portainer, and then what we're going to do is we are going to copy this path here, and we will use it in our Docker run command. So this Docker run command is for the Portainer container. We are mounting our local directory that we just created to the data directory inside of Portainer. And then the only other thing is the ports. So we have 9443 for HTTPS and 9000 for HTTP. Everything else will stay as default. And after I do that, it will start to pull the container. And as soon as you see this long string of numbers and letters, Portainer will be ready and accessible. So I'm going to navigate to HTTPS, the IP address of our Docker VM, and then port 9443. 9443 is the HTTPS port. If you were using HTTP, it would be port 9000. As soon as we access it, we can accept the risks and continue, and we can now configure Portainer. So I'm going to create a username and a password, and we are now brought to Portainer. So what you can see is we have our local Docker instance, and then at this point, we can go in and create containers in any way that we want, whether that be by using stacks or just configuring the containers manually. But this is now configured and ready to go for all of our Docker containers, and it is running inside of that VM that we just configured. So the last thing I want to talk through is that I brought up earlier in the video that one of the benefits of doing it this way is that you can automate backups. So I have various videos on this, but what you'll see is that if I come into my data center and then backup, you'll see that I have a bunch of different backup schedules that are currently configured. I do this because I'm a little crazy with backups, but in essence, I have 2 different devices on site and 1 off site, and I ensure that everything gets backed up at all times. Now, these are slightly different. These bottom 3 are using Proxmox Backup Server. The UNAS Pro 8 is just a regular NFS share. But what you'll see is the selection side here. I have a selection for everything. And inside of that, because I am backing up everything, I am ensuring that moving forward, this virtual machine will be backed up. So if I run into any problems, I'll always be able to restore to a prior version. If it's not on the UNAS Pro 8, it's from Proxmox Backup Server, or in a worst case scenario, off-site, but I have all of this data currently backing up. And again, since the configuration files will be inside of that Docker folder that we created, that Docker folder is backed up in multiple locations as well. So right now, everything is configured exactly as we want it to be. The last thing that I want to bring up, because I have a feeling that it'll come up in the comments, is that as of Proxmox version 9.1, you can create LXC containers by pulling an OCI registry image, which in essence allows you to run a Docker container inside of an LXC container. Now, the reason why I'm not recommending this right now is because the traditional process of how you would create and manage Docker containers will be very, very different managing them this way. So it's a very new feature, and I think at one point in time, this will become the standard for creating Docker containers, or at least, let's say, a stable option. But for today, I'd recommend using a virtual machine as we went over in this video. So I know that was a lot, and in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that complicated. You're going in, you're installing the operating system, and then you're just configuring Docker and Portainer. But showing it hopefully helps you understand exactly how it works and how you can manage your Docker instance moving forward. So I hope you got some value out of this. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave those in the comments. But other than that, if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.